A homebred, some of you may remember the dam, Lastbutnotleast, won a Welsh national rally, loads of nationals actually, in these very colours. So good luck to them, Tara. Number 2 for Lastbutnotleast, 3 Happy Diva, Jamie Moore, 4 Last But Not Least in those red rum colours, Will Kennedy, 5 Naranja, looking for a double for Nick Schofield, and number 6 is Taws, the mount of Daryl Jacobs. So just the 5 runners, they're on their way down towards the start. Let's check out what's happening down in the betting ring with Matt Chapman.
Thanks very much, Richard. I think
What about the bottom horse on the card, Luke? Taws.
Yeah, really interesting horse. She was decent on the flat. She had a mediocre start to her hurdling career, but she ran really well behind Phineas Oscar last time. She's ridden by Daryl Jacob. Let's find out a little bit about him.
My favourite day in the racing calendar would have to be the Grand National. The weighing joker is Matty Bachelor. My favourite race course would be Exeter and Chepstow. They're fine big galloping tracks. And my sporting hero, I suppose, would be Brian O'Driscoll, and I look up to Rory McIlroy in golf. If I wasn't a jockey, I'd like to be a rugby player.
Well, Daryl comes across, Danny, as one of the nicest guys in the weighing room. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, he's a nice
Be
lad.
honest.
They all lie until they get out on the track. No, he's a nice lad. He's very driven. He's obviously got a nice job in racing, which fills you full of confidence. And when you've got a job like that, it gives you confidence. You can go out and ride every day with a load of confidence because you've always got that to fall back on, you know. So, no, he's a nice lad and he's going really well.
And that job in double green, he'll have a number of good rides for Isaac Swade and Simon Munir in a few days' time at the Cheltenham Festival. Right, they're down at the start. Mick, who do you fancy?
This Last But Not Least is a great story, and it's such a good story, you can't help but want a bit of it.
What's happening in the ring, Matt?
Going for an update. Money continues to come on Happy Diva. Now 5-4 in places, Happy Diva. Last but not least, looks as though it's going to get a prominent ride at 2s. But the money horse is the Happy Diva. Which one of our team is the most diva-ish, Ed?
He's called Matt Chapman. Now, Happy Diva's got an entry in the OLBG Mares race at the Cheltenham Festival. Are you surprised to see all this money for her, Luke?
No, I'm not at all, actually. She's been really consistent. Won a couple of times at Wetherby and at Fontwell, and she ran really well at Sandown in Grade 2. So, no, she's hard, she's tough, she comes from a yard in form. She's got a good jockey. Why wouldn't you fancy her?
She's probably the most likely winner, but you're trying to find a little bit of value here, and I think this Last But Not Least could be the one for the value, Ed.
What about the another two we haven't talked about yet, Tara and Naranja, who takes a big step up in distance?
Yeah, Naranja managed to win a bumper race. On her only hurdle race, she ran well at Lingfield, so yeah, she's got to step up on that. And Braventura, actually looking at that, I was just asking Fitzy, Leighton Aspel actually won the Welsh National on this horse's mother. So you know you're old when you won on the horse's mother.
When people start saying stuff like that, you know you're on your way out.
Who'd you like going down, Richard?
I quite like Taws actually on the way to post, from what I saw. She's a really nice, gone to hurdling pretty late. She was a pretty decent horse on the flat. Let's see how they all get on, including Last But Not Least, who leads the field up 3 miles half a furlong, so the same as for our first race over hurdles as well, where they dawdled. Naranja is leading them up here, and he's gradually approaching the starter and listening for the starter's instructions, but again they're not really sort of pressing the nettle here towards the starter at the moment. Last But Not Least and Naranja, the first two to walk up towards the tape. Taws and Braventura and Happy Diva. So very cautious towards the starter, and the starter hasn't let them go yet. His flag is raised and he's now dropped it, so away we go. So we're off and racing for the BetBright Mares Novices Hurdle, this listed contest with this long run to both the first and then to the second flights of hurdles. And last but not least, for Will Kennedy and Donald McCain cutting out the early running. Naranja races in second place, the horse with the white face and the lilac and mauve colours. Also white faced in the diamonds is Bravantara for Leighton Aspel and Nick Williams. And the red and yellow diamond colours with Taws up on the outside in the mauve and blue, and Happy Diva in the trademark white bandages that so many of Kerry Lee's horses run in at the rear of the field. Last but not least, put himself right at the first, or put herself right at the first, and got to the other side safely. Rather lit up is Bravantara in second place, up on the outside, disputing that with the Naranja in the yellow cap, and Bravantara in the white cap. They hold down a share of second place at the moment, and then Taws on the outside of Happy Diva. So continuing to turn to the solitary flight back towards home, that solitary flight having been taken now, and so they've got a long run to the second, 3 up the home straight, with out in front, last but not least, leading the way. In second, Bravantara, racing on the inside of Naranja. Taws, the 6-year-old, and having her third run over hurdles, far more experienced 6-year-old Happy Diva in the yellow and purple colours at the rear of the field. So making their turn back towards home, the pace still not a strong one, but a little better at least than looks to our first race, and out in front, last but not least, continuing to show the way. Bravantara in second, Naranja half a length away on the outside, and now we have 3 flights of hurdles. When they reach the first of them, they come in relatively quick succession. Taws in fourth, and the rear of the field for Happy Diva. Last but not least was cautious over the first. Let's see how she fares with the second, and she pops over it perfectly well, but at this speed you'd expect them all to be running and jumping fluently enough. Second place for Bravantara. Taws just getting a little bit closer. It's the horse in the purple and blue colours. Naranja still on the stand side. As they reach the third, last but not least, pops over well, and Happy Diva held on to by Jamie Moore at the back of the field. So well grouped, they head up the home straight for the first time. Last but not least, out in front for Will Kennedy. And they pop over that. So far everyone appears pretty happy. Last but not least has been allowed to make the running. She hasn't hurdled that fluently, but at this pace it probably isn't overly concerning. Happy Diva, by contrast, gentlemen, is settled at the rear of the field.
Certainly is. Now we've got Danny Cook watching this race with us. Danny, I'm going to give you a pass to ride any horse in the race. Which one do you want to be on at this stage?
I'd be swapped with Jamie Moore. Going very nicely, jumping really slick, and switched off nicely where he is. And it's going to turn into a sprint at some stage, but it looks like he's got into a nice rhythm, and I think she'll pick up nice, you know.
He's saving every inch of ground. Luke, what do you like?
Taws is an interesting one. Out the back, you see Tom Scudamore. This is a really stout stare, this horse. So when they get to Rose Hill at the top, the far side of the track, I expect him to kick on, Richard.
Okay, so Happy Diva in the yellow and purple colours. Danny's preferred mount at this stage, and Taws the mount of Luke Harvey. Again, last but not least, she's not making mistakes, although she just put herself right there, and poor old Bravantara rather jumped into the back of her through no fault of her own. But she's showing a little bit of inexperience at her obstacles here, and you can see steadies in, is careful over them, but leads from Bravantara. Taws moving up for a share of third now with Naranja, who's charted the wider course, looking for some unpoached ground. The hurdles course pretty marked after events yesterday, and Happy Diva, who is content at the moment just to sit and pop behind the other quartet. So this is 5 from the finish, but they are a long way from home. Last but not least, again, she's novice-y at her flights of hurdles, and as a result, any attempt to break away from the field is being slightly hindered at the moment, but he now has a long run, does Will Kennedy, to try and press on a little bit on the run towards the fourth last. So out in front, it is last but not least from Bravantara, Naranja and Taws, and still Happy Diva travelling strongly at the rear of the field, despite being the back marker. Jamie Moore constantly restraining her at the moment, not wanting to get involved too early, because they still have a long way to go as they approach the fourth last. So last but not least, heading then down towards this fourth last. They jump this and then have the long run back towards home. Taws moving closer on the outside of Bravantara, and now Happy Diva takes a scalp by moving past Naranja. That was 4 from the finish. And the hurdling techniques of both the front pair in the market, last but not least, who's cautious over the flights, and Happy Diva, who's very fast over them, couldn't be more different at the moment. And now, last but not least, is pressing on. So last but not least, from Taws, Bravantara, and Happy Diva in 4th place. And now's last but not least attempt to try and run the finish out of a couple of rivals who are travelling equally as well. Taws is one of those. Bravantara and Happy Diva now just being pulled out to make closer order as they begin the turn back towards home in earnest. So last but not least, Happy Diva moving up on the outside of Taws. They've dropped Bravantara, and also at the moment have dropped Naranja as well. So out in front, last but not least, trying to press on, but the other two are close here, and Happy Diva's travelled up strongly in the yellow and purple colours. And now Taws pushed along for the first time. So last but not least has just got to try and be slicker and faster over her hurdles and shake off Happy Diva, who you can see Jamie Moore is still holding on to. Last but not least, needs a good leap 3 out. See if she can deliver one. Happy Diva just steadied into it and closes again over the obstacles. That's been the feature of this race. Taws back in third, so heading down towards the second last. Happy Diva's hurdling technique has been much slicker than last but not least, and she now draws alongside. Can last but not least tough it out between those obstacles? They're over the second last together, and still Happy Diva's rider Jamie Moore waits a hefty fall by Braven Tara when well beaten in third place leaves that for Taws, and now down towards the last, and stamina beginning to kick in, and last but not least is not stopping, and Happy Diva on the stand side all of a sudden faces a fight up the run-in. The jumping is done. Last but not least, over on the far side, Happy Diva under this near side running rail. Last but not least is 2 lengths clear, and now the jumping is finished. Happy Diva is floundering. Last but not least, driven out towards the line, purchased by Ginger, the colours bought by Beryl, trained by Donald, the McCains, and last but not least, win the listed race in the colours of Red Rum. Happy Diva in second place, Taws back in third, and back in fourth place, Naranya. As a caller, you'd love to see old colours make a comeback. And last but not least, for Donald McCain, has ground it out. It's entirely appropriate that it was stamina that won the day for the Red Rum colours, and last but not least.